Yeah. Well, this is a good transition into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which are cheat meals. No one talks about cheat meals, man. But if you search the hashtag, and I just did it just to clarify my numbers, if you search the hashtag cheat meals, 4.2 million posts on cheat meals. 4.2 million. So people like, I feel like that was like a trend that like started and stopped. But people still have this mentality of having cheat meals. So I wanted to talk about the negatives of a cheat meal, maybe some positives of the cheat meal, and how to kind of break that habit. And also, if the listeners haven't noticed, I've been dieting, so it's been a lot of food talk. Yeah, more food talk. All right, so let's break it down. Cheat meals, man.
Well, the thing is, you pointed out that there's that many hashtags for cheat meals, and most people who don't even diet have cheat meals. That's the point, and to them that's still a cheat meal. That's the crazy thing, you have their normal diet, which is our cheat meal, and then they have cheat meals, But if we're talking about it strictly for fitness and bodybuilding goals, cheat meals, that's kind of where that whole idea originated, because you have a diet that you follow, and then the term cheat meal implies that you're having something that's not part of that normal diet, but also people incorporate cheat meals into a diet. They call it a cheat meal, but really when you structure it into the diet, it's no longer a cheat meal, it's part of the diet. So you have to be very specific about what you mean when you say the term cheat meal. But anyway, if we're talking strictly from like a bodybuilding and fitness standpoint, when we say cheat meal, we're going to assume it's something off the diet plan. That can help when dieting. I like a more structured approach, and I always tell people, if I'm having a cheat meal, that means I'm not paying attention to anything. The calories, the protein, the carbs, I'm just eating, just eat. And I think to be a human being, of course, we're all going to have times where we just say, hey, listen, I'm in the mood for pizza today, I'm going to eat pizza. How often do we do that? I might do that once or twice a year, let's just say. But I'm not going to regularly, once a week, say I'm going to have a cheat meal. And if you want to incorporate a cheat meal into your diet, let's say you're dieting, calories are low, you need a refeed, doing a more structured approach where you say, listen, I'm going to increase my carbohydrates for a day, I'm going to have high carb days, I'm going to have refeed days that are structured and accounted for, that's part of the plan. And I think always sticking to a diet that's structured is going to be more beneficial than having something that you're not controlling. If you just say, go out, eat whatever you want, you don't know how much you eat. Was it more than you needed? Was it even enough, too? In many cases, you can tell somebody, go have a cheat meal, and they'll say, okay, you know what, all I had was had a little bit of ice cream for dessert. You might not even have raised your calories as much as you intended when you said, listen, you're very depleted, you need a high calorie source. That's why structured eating is much better.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And that was my point when I wanted to bring this up too, and say like, I think when people say I'm having a cheat meal, it's a mentality of I'm just eating whatever the hell I want.
Right.
And that is worse because even one cheat meal that's not structured is horrible.
Right.
And I'm not saying structured in the sense of like, okay, I want this meal. So for example, I have a wedding coming up, right? So obviously I want to be able to eat at the wedding, right? So I'm going to kind of like loosely, intuitively eat at the wedding, right? But just even saying the term like, I'm going to go to the wedding and I'm going to have a cheat meal, I'm automatically setting myself up for, all right, it's time to cheat. It's time to eat anything I want in as much quantity as I want to, and do it until I feel content.
Right.
Which is like three things that are horrible when it comes to cheat meals. So I think it's the mentality that people have, because people have the mentality like, okay, yeah, when I diet, I'm supposed to have a cheat meal because of all the reasons that you said. It spikes your metabolism. It's good to do, for your metabolism. It helps in the fat loss process. But they throw the structure portion of it out the window.
Problem, yeah.
And that's where it becomes a problem. So it's more like the mentality around having a cheat meal in the sense like people say, okay, I'm going to eat anything and everything. I'm going to have ice cream, I'm going to have hamburgers, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. And it becomes like, essentially like, not an eating disorder, but like...
It's disordered eating.
Yeah, exactly. Good way to put it. It's disordered eating, which is way worse.
Yeah. And you have to ask yourself again, just like I said earlier when we were talking about, why are we picking certain food choices off the menu when we eat out? The same thing. If you're going to have a cheat meal, you have to ask yourself, what is this cheat meal? What's the purpose of it? What is it serving? If it's serving in a situation where, let's say, you're severely depleted, you've been dieting for so long, your body needs a little bit of refeed, we want to keep that metabolism boosted, so we want to add some more carbohydrates back in, some high calories, just to spike that metabolism a little bit. Having a calculated cheat meal is a good option. But that doesn't mean having a unlimited binge fest, and that's going to do more damage than good. So when somebody tells you, I'm going to have a cheat meal, or they recommend that you have one, you have to ask, okay, what's the reason for this? If it's to stimulate my metabolism, it's going to make sense for me to put a cap on it. to get the, so the purpose of a cheat meal in most cases, which people don't understand, is if you're doing it strictly to boost your metabolism, you want that cheat meal to be primarily carbohydrates. Fat's not really going to do much to stimulate metabolism. You're already eating a high protein diet if you're doing things the way you should be. Carbs are going to be the biggest thing that's going to boost those hormones, that's actually going to help stimulate your metabolism more. So if you're going out and you're having a cheat meal and it's primarily all high fat, some people go out and they say, I have a cheat meal and I'm having wings, that, you're eating a ton of calories, but you're getting protein and fat mostly. I mean, of course you're getting carbs too, but like, as opposed to saying I'm going to have chicken and rice, you know what I mean? So again, you could make the wrong decision with a cheat meal just as easily as you can make a wrong decision with a healthy meal.
Yeah, and I would say somebody listening to this is probably saying like, well, how do you guys have that mentality around food? Like, how are you able to control yourself around food? And I think one of the major things I got into when I got into nutrition too was to be able to understand like how food controls my body and how I'm actually in control of what I'm eating and what I'm doing and what I'm putting into my body, and not the other way around. And I think people kind of don't have that control yet, and that just comes with time.
Yeah.
Like, somebody listening to this right now is saying like, wow, Pete's really dedicated. It's not that he's dedicated to it, and I'm not like poking at you. It's not that he's dedicated to it. It's just that he's done this for so long that it's just become second nature to him to look at it in terms of like, okay, what are the benefits I'm actually going to get out of this? Because if you just went hog wild, you're going to have more negative experience in that than you would a positive experience from a body composition standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint. Absolutely. At that too. Yeah. So, having and understanding the negative consequences of going into it.
Yeah.
And I know some people are probably sitting there listening to this saying like, yeah, but dude, you need a break. Like, you need a break. Yeah. You need to be able to break. And yes, that's definitely a valid point. But as to what negative is going to come with that break. Think about it. So, okay, I'm dieting really hard right now. Trying to get as lean as possible. I go and I eat whatever the hell I want, right? I have a huge day of eating whatever, right? Now, what happens? My weight's going to shoot up. I'm going to feel like crap the next day. It's going to take me at least a week or two to get back to baseline to where I'm at. Is that worth it? Right. And I guess if it is for you, so obviously if you have a wedding or whatever and you deem it necessary at that wedding, then you have to outweigh that consequence. Because I'll go through periods of time where, perfect example, 4th of July, we're having a big barbecue. I don't plan on going hog wild, but I don't plan on being diligent with my numbers that day. I'm going to be loose. If I want a little bit of this, I'm going to have this. I'll probably go a little bit overboard. But I'm willing to do that, and I'm at the stage right now, dieting wise, where it's not going to really hinder me that much.
Right.
So there's definitely a balance.
Yeah, and it's calculated. You determine that you're at the point right now where your body can definitely handle a larger increase in calories and it not do much of a negative impact on your body. Once you hit a certain amount of time that you've been dieting, how deep into the diet, the more your body can handle those larger increases in calories and it not store as fat, it not have any negative consequences. If you're 2 weeks into a diet and you say, I want to have a binge fest, you're going to get all the negatives that come with it and none of the benefits. Now, if you're 6 months into a diet and you say, listen, I need a bit of a refeed, I'm not going to go all out, but I need to put some more calories in my body to stimulate my metabolism, to fill my muscles out, to increase my performance, and for the mental benefits that come with it. You can have a structured cheat meal and you're going to get all the benefits and none of the negatives. Or if you get any negatives, they're going to be very little.
Right.
So you need to assess what type of pros and cons you're going to get from every decision you make with your nutrition. And that's one of the reasons for me that it's so easy as well. Like you said, just doing this for as long as I've done it, that makes it very easy for me. But as I've gotten even older and I've gotten a little more wiser with my nutrition too, I also assess the pros and the cons that come with it, even beyond, just having the experience of doing it. So everything I look at is, okay, what's the pro and con for this? What's the trade-off that I'm going to get? In many cases, if I'm I need a break, even if we're just going to use it for that aspect, the mental break, because again, if that's the reason, that's going to usually take priority over all the other things. So if you're I just need a break, you're not going to worry about the cons so much. But if I need a break, I'm still going to make a decision that's going to give me the most pros and the least amount of cons. So for me, if I just say, listen, I haven't ate carbs, I'm craving carbs all the time, I need a mental break, I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to go order food, I'm going to get chicken and rice, but I'm going to get two or three orders of rice. I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to have burgers, fries, pizza. That's different. I'll get a better break mentally from eating those extra carbs, feeling full. My stomach will be full. I'll feel great. I'll feel satiated. And then I'm going to get the benefits of it, boosting my metabolism, filling out my muscles, increasing my performance. And I'm going to feel great after that, opposed to eating that cheat meal and then it ruining my workout the next day. You know, I'm going to be sluggish and mentally I'm not going to feel good. So, you know, having enough experience and, you know, enough reference points doing this over and over again to know that that's going to be the outcome makes the decision that much easier.
Yeah. So I think we beat up cheat meals pretty good, man. But I just wanted to touch on that because I can't believe that's like still a thing. People people wear that as a badge of honor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having a cheat meal today, and they're very excited to have a cheat meal.
It's like the same thing when people go out to the bar, you know, and they're like, why aren't you drinking? It's like, we're at a bar, we got to drink, you know, and it's like, no, but like I came out to socialize, I didn't come out to drink.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to have some drinks while you go out and socialize, fine, but that shouldn't be the reason that you're out.
Right.